because the Museum of Clothes, we have the possibility to invite artists to present their exhibitions in the supermarket with a new organization. I think that this is a very, very good idea because we can show that it is possible to transform. This is a kind of local, tactical urbanism.
Welcome to CIHT Podcasts.
Welcome back to the 15-Minute City. Today we explore from the idea to the implementation. I've had the pleasure of talking with my guest today on a couple of previous CIHT podcasts and at one of our events. And I'm delighted to therefore pick up the conversation that I feel has been running as part of a wider reappraisal of transport and perhaps even more fundamentally of how we might live in the future. So without further ado, Professor Moreno, as the architect of the 15-Minute City idea, whereby we get all our urban necessities within a 15-minute walking and cycling, I would like to explore with you how this is translated into practice. Anne Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris, was re-elected partly on the basis of delivering a 15-minute city. So could you tell me a bit about the cycling provision, in particular the Corona pistes that have been added since the pandemic struck?
Thank you for this new kind of invitation. It's a great pleasure to continue to share not only the concept, but at the same time, the practice of a 15-minute city, in particular in the city of Paris. Today in the city of Paris, the 15-minute city has become the reality. The different ways, of course, we wish to implement for transforming into a vibrant city of proximities. For Corona pistes, for example, is today a very popular and concrete realization because we have been considering that it is totally necessary to keep in permanence the bike lanes built for the period of lockdown in Paris. The name is the Corona piste. We have in the city of Paris 70 kilometers of Corona piste, and these kilometers of Corona piste complete the network of bike lanes. In reality, we have with the Corona piste at the same time the shared biking, the Velib, and the practice of bike, of e-scooter has been becoming very popular, including during this period, autumn and winter. And we are very happy because for the second time, many Parisians has been decided to use the Corona piste with the bike for commuting instead of a particular vehicle. The Corona piste is one of the concrete realization, but is not the only.
I like that. One of the concrete realizations of a 15-minute city, one other concept was the multipurpose application to buildings. What's happening in that space then?
Indeed, the multipurpose function, this is another pillar of the concrete realization of 15-minute city. And in the city of Paris, the mayor, Anne Hidalgo, has proposed in December to vote by the municipal council for the first time in the history of the city of Paris, and I think in the whole history in the French Republic, the possibility for using the school for kids for another activity during the weekend. In general, the school in France are closed during the weekend, except one time for voting. And the city of Paris has been launching on Saturday, 2 weeks ago, the new urban policy for opening schools, for hosting lots of activities proposed by inhabitants, by citizens there. And we are very proud of this new activity because this is the very, very concrete new way for transforming the city of Paris into a city of proximities with the multipurpose functions.
We in the UK are very interested in the idea of the 15-minute city, and I have spoken with colleagues here who are looking to drive the idea forward into a reality on the ground. What advice would you give them then if you were talking to them of how to go about creating a 15-minute city? Tips or key piece of advice you would offer?
Justin, we have the other possibilities for developing the 15-minute city in Paris. It's not possible for me to compare, for example, with London, but in the city of Paris, in this period, it is very complicated because we are living with the pandemic crisis. We have a very hard curfew, for example, from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and the cultural activities in general are closed. Theater, museum, cinema, and other. And the supermarket, for example, in the proximity are opened. We have been practicing now a new idea for transforming, for example, the supermarket into art gallery with the concept of multipurpose functions. Because the museum are closed, we have the possibility to invite artists to present their exhibitions in the supermarket with a new organization. I think that this is a very, very good idea because we can show that it is possible to transform. This is a kind of local, tactical urbanism, but not in the outside, but in inside of the square meters. I think that many people today have the possibility to propose different new ideas with a certain originality instead of this idea.
It makes me think, at the moment, there is snow on the ground in London and lots of the UK. But in the summer, I think the idea of using parks as concert spaces became something that was realized to some extent because of coronavirus. But that's the idea of reimagining our spaces to become different things, I think, in light of the new realities on the ground. But I think also that has been a reality of how we consider spaces to be used more generally, that they can move from one form to another. I was going to say, one thing in the UK is we've had a push for low traffic neighborhoods, which is where maybe you make access slightly more difficult in certain streets to try and make it easier, therefore, for walking and cycling. But it has experienced some strong opposition by certain groups. And I was wondering, has the similar thing happened in Paris with the Corona piece or other aspects of pushing a more cycling and walking city? Has there been strong opposition? And if so, how's that been managed?
Yeah. Today, I finished an emission in the radio in Paris, and I prefer to walk when I wanted to go into my office. And this is very impressive. The new situation, for example, because along the Seine River, we have the former motorway for cars, and the mayor of Paris, one of the most important program was to transform this motorway for become the urban park. And today I observe this area, and the little sector as today is still available for cars is totally flooding. Totally flooding. It's not possible to use for cars because we have only the Seine River. And in the proximity, of course, we have the bike lane for people. And I said that this is the new reality. We have been living today, for example, with the River Seine, with the flood, and this is not possible to continue to use the individual car. We needed to transform this paradigm, and even during the winter, even when the weather is not optimal, we have the possibility to continue to use the bike lane. Why? Because in reality, in the city of Paris, we have been a real success for transforming the mindset of people. The reaction today is not to take my car, but to use the bike lanes, to use the underground, to use buses, and in general, to prefer public transportations or low carbon transportation instead of the individual car. And in general, this is not only for the historical center of Paris. This is true as well for the outskirts. The reduction of the use of the individual car in Paris today is not more than 25% only people that use individual car for commuting. And year after year, the rate of people that use individual car is decreasing. And I think that we have been a real success for operating the swap of mindset of people. And in my mind, this is the irreversible situation.
Well, thank you again. I like that, the idea to becoming an irreversible situation whereby 15-minute cities become a reality for perpetuity as opposed to just as a kind of measure during a pandemic. So it's fascinating picking up with you, and thank you again for your time to hear how things are developing. So that was an interview with Professor Carlos Moreno from the Sorbonne in Paris and the special advisor to the Mayor, Anne Hidalgo. Thank you.
Thank you, Augustin. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
See you next time.
Thanks for listening. The concept of the 15-minute city has been broadened to the 30-minute territory, and this has been explored within a region in the south of France. This is not excluding the car, but looks to move towards car sharing and multiple occupancy, among other things. If you want to hear more, leave a review and let us know, and we will speak with Professor Moreno in more detail about what is involved. CIHT has also launched a new podcast, Let's Talk Transport, that is hosted by our young professionals Raoul and Annika. It's well worth a listen. Finally, have a look at the CIHT website. There's lots of great content alongside webinars and events with exclusive member benefits. And finally, remember to subscribe if you like this podcast. Thanks again.